Okay, so welcome to today's Arborist Call. It is the 8th of February today, and I'm hosting today's call. The agenda for today's meeting is as usual. We will have an introduction, then we will hear some updates from the ECC and Zcash Foundation core development teams. Then we'll have some updates on research and implementation work. And finally, there will be some time for any announcements or any open discussion that teams want to have. So what is the Arborist Call? It is a bi-weekly call where Zcash protocol contributors groups meet up to discuss upgrade timelines and process, protocol research and development efforts, design and implementation of new protocol features, and we identify blockers and unresolved issues. The purpose of this call is to try to make Zcash protocol development accessible to interested parties and to provide transparency for everyone. So anyone can attend. You just need to register at zcasharborist.org. And if you want to become more involved and you want to present something during this call, you can email us at arboristcall@zfnd.org, and we will give you a presentation slot. So outside of the Arborist Call, you can participate in the community in a number of ways. You can apply to one of the grant programs. You can take part in community discussions in the Zcash R&D Discord or the Zcash Community Forum. And there are clickable links for all of these at zcasharborist.org. So I'm going to be fast, but hopefully we have everyone to move on with today's agenda, and we'll start with an update on Zebra, which is the Zcash Foundation's node implementation. Marek, take it away.
So since we released Zebra 1.5.2, we've been working on gRPC frontend for the scanner. It will contain a bunch of straightforward gRPCs that will allow users to submit their viewing keys. The scanner will start the trial decryption, and then users will be able to fetch the results. We're using the Tonic library in Rust to implement the gRPC server, and together with Tower services. So that's progressing well. And then the second thing is the new Docker Compose files for running ZebraD together with LightWalletD. And the purpose of that is to make the configuration for both ZebraD and LightWalletD easy as regards, for example, managing the volumes, the Docker volumes for persistent storage for both LightWalletD and ZebraD. And the last thing is also new Docker Compose files that allow developers run the same tests as in CI locally. And that's all from me.
Okay, thank you, Marek. Does anyone have any questions for Marek or anyone else on Zebra development?
So Kedit mentioned that they had sort of developed a thing. My impression is it's basically similar to reg test. Do you have anyone from Kedit on the call? This is for Zebra.
I'm there, yeah. I'm on the call, so yeah, you were saying?
Yeah, so I don't think that's been mentioned outside the CSA meetings before. So do you want to sort of say basically what that is and how it's useful?
Yeah. So yeah, we've basically been developing this transaction testing tool that we've been showing the Zcash Foundation and I think the zip editors as well recently. We gave a demo recently on that. And yeah, it's basically, it allows you to set up a single node and like get the the blockchain state, and then be able to like run transactions and test those on like just for transaction V5 right now. But that's what we started with, and then we'll be able to like move on to V6 subsequently. But
and that's with mining switched off, I think, or just trivial mining.
yeah. So the proof of work is, I think, switched off right now. So that's one of the other things that I think we're going to look into, whether we can keep it the low difficulty mining that I think is there for reg tests. So we'll see how that works. But yeah, at present the proof of work is switched off.
Yeah. So part of the reason I wanted to mention that is that seems like it would be very useful for our future development. So is there any chance of that being merged upstream?
So we are, I think, like we are doing the review right now, I think, and it's very close to being finished, I think. So yeah, like we'll be putting like the formal pull request pretty soon, and then yeah, could get merged soon, I guess.
Thank you.
For specifically this, as opposed to it being inside ZSAs?
Yeah, this is only like right now we only have transaction V5 that we have right now. The ZSAs and stuff is going to need more work.
What I meant was I was wanted to make sure that we were able to extract this as a separable piece, because this is independently useful.
Yeah, rather than it just being a PR on your branch.
Right. Yeah, I'll check. I'll make sure that that's the case.
Thank you.
Okay, any other questions or comments? Okay, let's move on to the ECC updates. Who's do we have that today?
I don't think there's been very much going on with Zcash D. Our focus has been on implementing Orchard in the Liberal Zcash. So Chris or Strad, do you want to talk about that?
I don't see Chris on there. Okay, so yeah, current status there is we are back into working on Orchard post ZBoot, and that's just chugging along at a rapid pace. We are also, the current plan is to get a release of the Zcash Rust crates, so up through Zcash Client SQLite, out without Orchard. So there will be there's a feature flag and a Rust compiler flag that basically will gate all the Orchard stuff off. So it will not be part of the API for the next release. And that's just so that people can have a stepping stone to upgrade to a version that includes all of the sapling refactors and other bits and pieces that have gone on in a separable way, and then they'll be able to, in the subsequent release, focus on including Orchard support. So from the Rust side, that's the focus there, and then on the wallet SDK side, the focus there is pushing towards the functionality necessary for Zcash 1.0. So just, again, making progress through being able to get in things like Orchard support into the mobile SDKs. I think we're done with performance changes that will be in at least the next release of that, like the SDK 2.1 releases. And it's just feature finishing at this point for like I said, it's actually 1.0.
By the way, your Zoom name is set to my name, Strad.
I just click.
Yeah, I know. It's easy to do.
Cool.
I have to say, there's a bunch of duplicates today. I don't know what's happening. Any questions for Strad or anyone else on the ECC team? there'll be some research and implementation updates later as well. So.
Oh, so I have an announcement, which is you may already know because it's been announced on the forum that I'm the new R&D engineering manager for Electric Coin Company. I'm going to step down as zip editor, so that will be at the end of February. Because I think that it's basically too much power over the future of the protocol for me to have both roles, and there could be conflicts of interest there. So for the time being, probably for the indefinite future, I'll still be going to ZipSync meetings, still be giving my expertise, but I won't have a formal role as an editor.
Okay, thank you, Dara, and
That's
congratulations.
at the end of February. Thank you.
Okay, any other questions or comments? We can move on otherwise to the research and implementation updates.
I see Alfredo's hands up.
Oh yeah, you're right. I did see that. Yeah. Alfredo?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Right, yeah. So for Strad, I was listening to their updates. We in Zebra team with the blockchain scanner are using a function from one of the Rust grades, which is scan block, which is scan for sapling transactions.
Yep.
So my question is, you said you upgraded the sapling code. I'm wondering if that function in particular had any change that we need to implement.
So there actually directly on that, there are some potentially relevant changes. So one of the things that I just recently did and got a PR out for was, so you're using the sort of a rather external API that is focused more on scanning compact blocks, but internally to that uses a batch scanning API that we copied over from Zcash, and I've just about landed the changes to deduplicate that. So the API that I'm referring to is not currently public because we wanted to make sure we could it would serve both use cases. My intention is for that to then be exposed so that we can remove the equivalent code from Zcash's wallet to do batch scanning, because we currently use it over there for batch scanning of sapling. So that would actually be a good PR for you to, or a good part of the API for you to look at and confirm usability of there, because that will probably, I just need to look over that, because that's the, if I'm correct on the ScanBlocks API that you're probably using, I think this one will be the more performant one. I think. Let's talk offline in the R&D channel, in the libraries channel of the R&D Discord, and synchronize on that.
Cool, thank you. Can I ask you a few other ones?
Yeah.
So when we were using that API, we noticed that you can send multiple blocks to that, but we are scanning one by one because the API doesn't return it doesn't return the number of the transaction where it is, so you can't identify which transaction belongs to which block.
Just to clarify, which specific API, just to make sure we're on the same page, which specific API is the one that you are using?
I think we use one that's, its name is ScanBlocks.
Yeah, I think I know the one. I'm just searching for it to make sure that because it's the question I deferred, but if you're asking, then I will just go and answer it right now.
We can talk offline if you want.
We should. It'd be better to talk offline about that. But my answer to this is I expect the API that I've been working on most recently is the one you'll want to use. It's the same one that we use in Zcash. Cool, and it is and with the changes I'll have, it will work with and be intended to work with full node style blocks with full transactions.
So the last one, you said you're going to implement like a similar function, the scan block orchard, that can do the same thing for orchard, or
so
like
again, the new scanning API is generic over sapling and orchard. So what you would then be doing there is the again, I'm still trying to find the API that you're using, but the one that I'm yeah, I don't know where scan blocks has gone, because I see scan. What version are you depending on? No, that's too much for this. The API that I'm working on right now, what you will then have is you will have a sapling batch runner and an orchard batch runner, but the code is entirely generic. So you'll just instantiate it with you'll be feeding in the same transaction into both runners, and then they will take away their respective parts of it.
Okay, great. Thank you. I'll check that out because I'm also in the air. I'm not, I don't know what version we are using and such, so we better do this offline in the chat. Thank you, Strad.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Strad and Alfredo. Let's move on to the research and implementation updates. And we'll start with the Sustainability Fund, if you have anyone to talk about that today.
I do not see anybody in here.
Okay. Okay, cool. We can move on then. Zcash shielded assets. Vivek, is that you?
Yeah, so I'll give the update today again. So we have a few things to update this time. The one that's right off the press is that we just submitted a new PR, like it's PR 780, 780 to the ZIPs repo this is, and this is the initial draft for the asset swap zip. I think it's now numbered zip 228, and so yeah, we should, it's a draft. There'll be multiple rounds of zip editors looking at it and things like that, but I think, yeah, we are excited for everyone to have a look at the stuff formally, and let's see how that goes. So yeah, the second thing was the transaction testing tool, which is, I mentioned earlier, it's close to being completed, I think. So it should be, yeah, you can look out for that too hopefully in the coming few days or week or so. The other thing we've been working on is we've been generalizing the Orchard crate to support both V5 and V6 transactions at the same time. So ZSAs and the older, like the original V5 transactions. So I think we've done most of the non-circuit related stuff, making it like generalized. But in the circuit, we ran into, I think we had made some changes to the Halo 2 crate, which sort of switched around the original circuit. So we spoke to Dara and Strad, and like they pointed us in the right direction. So we'll be like doing some refactoring there to get that back to how it should be working.
Is that going okay? Did you end up with any obstacles there?
I haven't heard of anything so far, but I also haven't really actively checked on that. So like in the last couple of days, I haven't heard anything yet. So we'll let you know if there is something that's keeping us stuck. Yeah. So I think that's mostly what I have. So thanks.
So on the Zcash zips PR to add zips 226, 227, and 230. So the original one was conflicted, and right. I filed another one with my editorial changes that is rebased. So can you check the changes on that just to make sure?
Oh yeah, I did see the comment, and I think Pablo started having a look. I haven't personally looked at it yet, but yeah, I'll do that. And then yeah, like currently, like the pull request for the zip 228, the asset swap zip is, again, it's not merging for the same reason. So once that's done, I can just I'll rebase on top of that so that it's clean and just has the asset swaps work and not the previous. Yeah.
Hey, thank you, Vivek. Any other questions for Vivek? Okay, let's move on to Frost. No. Frost, do we have Natalie today giving the update?
Hi. Oh, why am I not Desconrado? I don't know. Hi, everyone. yeah, it's really strange. Anyway, what we've been doing. So Conrado and I have been working on what we call phase one of separate amount of 3 different phases at the moment of what we're doing. So phase one is setting up the coordinator has a server and the participant is a client, so they can all just talk to each other seamlessly. You don't have to have all this manual input, which is currently how it's set up. So that's done. We're just sort of in review. Phase two is what's in progress at the moment, which is basically decoupling the coordinator from the server. So we have an independent server. So yeah, that's what we're working on. And yeah, we're going to do a stable release probably tomorrow. That's the current plan. We're sort of releasing a blog post at the same time. So we're just sort of timing everything together.
Congratulations.
Yeah, I think that's all. Any questions? Or Conrado, is there anything you want to add?
That's it.
I would add that maybe the stable release will be next week rather than tomorrow. Just not because the release is ready, it's just a blog post that is not, and we want to do them both at the same time. So that's all. Yeah, so this is the stable release of the reference implementation based on the CFRG IRTF draft spec, to be clear exactly what we are releasing, and it will include the first re-randomized variant, which is what we need for Zcash. Any questions on Frost, or shall we move on? Okay, let's move on to trailing finality. Yes, trailing finality. Do we have anyone to talk about that today?
I guess that will have to be me, because that's my responsibility now, Nate having left. Let's see. So the current status of that is that we're trying to come up with an estimate of how long it would take ECC to have sort of something useful to show for trailing finality, which is not necessarily the whole thing, but just to prioritize and decide whether we're going forward with it. And so we had a meeting about that yesterday, and I think so if we did proceed, the way forward would be to kind of build it with an abstraction layer for the BFT protocol, so that it would work with just a trivial dummy BFT protocol. So that option wouldn't by itself do anything to security. But then underneath that abstraction layer, it will be possible to implement or experiment with the different options for the BFT protocol. But nothing's really been decided yet. We're still prioritizing after ZBoot.
Great, thank you, Dara. Any questions for Dara? Okay, let's move on to open announcements. Does anything have anyone they'd like to share with the community?
So I think actually John is not in the panelists at the moment. So if you could just promote him to panelist, maybe, yeah.
Do that.
Thanks so much. I have a small announcement, which is the same as the previous one. There's a ZK Proof 6 event on May 22 to 24 in Berlin, and we now have started the call for papers there, and there's a whole program committee that looks at the papers with people formerly from Zcash. There's Ariel Gabizon is one of the the guys checking this. There's also Kobe looking at the papers, and it's run by Mutu and Kalmit. Last time we had 30 different papers accepted, and so anything that has to do with advancements in zero knowledge is of interest to that conference. It's expected to be pretty interesting. I'm assuming that that's the type of open announcement, right? It's kind of adjacent. Okay, cool.
Thank you, John. Any
Hope it goes
questions
well.
for John? Or any other announcements from anyone?
Dodger?
On the note of events, we've announced on the forums our plans for the next ZCon, which will be a virtual event later this year. We're calling it ZCon V, a play on 5 and V for virtual. And we're then hoping to do the next in-person event in Q1 of next year.
Cool. Thank you, Dodger. Any questions for Dodger or any other announcements?
It's good to know that I'll be able to participate fully, or as fully as any other person, being clinically vulnerable.
Okay, let's move on to open discussion. Is there anything that we want to discuss further? Please raise your hand and let me know. Okay, I think that's it then. Thank you, everyone. We will have the next Arborist call in 2 weeks' time on the Thursday, 22nd of February at the later time of 21 UTC. See you all then.
Thanks, Philly.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Cheerio.
Thank you. Bye.